Oh, aha. Hey, how you doing? Meaty, right? Would that be right? Hi, Tommy. How you doing? Hey, great. Great to see you. Hey, Big Sal. Buenos dias to yourself. Is it? Yep, it's still Buenos dias. Oh, I'm doing fine. I just got off. I've been on the phone good hunk of the morning with FedEx, getting a one of our shipments squared away. We had some watch shipments that were done, and the all of the information was sent with the watch through FedEx. And now I think FedEx is in the middle. They're having all of these storms, and I think today was supposed to be pretty clear. And so what I wanted to do was to make sure I got a hold of it. Whenever you have a problem with FedEx, especially on an international transfer of a watch, do whatever they say they need. Okay, don't don't get mad. Do just, I mean, I have an account with them. I give them a call. I give them my account number. I sometimes this case it would involve the shipper, so I got a hold of the shipper. He did what he had to do, and now we just wait because I think their offices don't open until 9:30 Central Time, which is about 15 minutes ago. But I talked to one of their representatives who was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So talking about a German watch that's in Tennessee, that's stuck in a sort of a combination of things. They're sort of having a perfect storm of storms. So anyway, if you're checking on a shipment of a watch, that we had two watches shipped from Switzerland, same shipper, same everything. One was stopped for more information, and the other one went right through. I tell you, it drives me crazy. Yeah. So anyway, hey Gregory, how you doing? Anyway, guys, hi Ronan, how are you? Uh, I thought I'd start off today just having some fun. This is the watch this is what we called our Brigade Nuvo, or our faux Brigade. And it was modeled after a Brigade Classique. And the Classique has an enamel dial, so we got an enamel dial. We got everything from China. And we got Brigade hands, and we got Brigade numbers on the dial. And so we decided it would be our Brigade Nuvo. And the thing about our Brigade is that it has a metal hairspring. Well, one out of transitional metals rather than silicon, because a lot of Brigades now have silicon hairsprings. Iced in, yeah, we had an ice storm. What happened, Ronan, was that we had a snow and then we had ice on top of that. And so I had a meeting this morning I couldn't go to, so I'm sort of was stuck here inside. It ought to be okay by this afternoon. I certainly hope so. Anyway, so what I was doing, another little thing to entertain myself. I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here, see that stick that goes up there? That's the regulator. And so, um, if you ever get a watch and it says it's adjusted to 6 positions or 5 positions or 3 positions, your very best ones are adjusted to 6 positions. Well, we spent $87 for all the parts on our watch, so we decided it needed 6 positions. And so what I did, hi Dominic, how you doing, man? So what I did, I got out my time grapher and I put it on the first position is I took the back off so I could, and then I took a toothpick. You want to use a wooden toothpick is great for moving the regulator arm back and forth. And so I did it until the thing was just about perfect. And so this is one position, and then I turned it this way. Now I couldn't adjust it anymore, but at least I could see what kind of adjustment it needed. And so that would be the second position. Then the crown up is the third, crown down is the fourth. Let me see. Now then, um, 12 up is the fifth, 12 down is the sixth. So those are all 6 positions. And so I tell you, I think it was in this position that it did the best. I mean, I think I had it down to 1 second a day. But then I did it like this. There was 0. It had no losses. And so I wound it up last night and I took a look at the time and it's been keeping perfect time. So, but it is expensive. You got to be willing to shell out $87 for for the watch and get some tools and stuff and put it together. And it's sort of like a fun watch to have. And while you're dreaming up excuses, while you got an expensive watch, you can work on one of those. Hey Art, how you doing? Karma Sutra has more positions. I think it does. This is called the 60 Sutra. Hi Lee, how you doing? Mother Nature released this to. Oh, good, you guys are out. Well, this is why I was on the phone with. I thought I was going to be on the phone with Memphis, Tennessee, to FedEx, but I was on the phone at Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and here I'm telling about an ice storm that because I know that they had some delays in Memphis, Tennessee because of the weather, and you get these cryptic messages. Your package is late. First one was late because they wanted some more information, and that's what I was telling the person in Kuala Lumpur, who then sent it to somebody in Nashville or Memphis, Tennessee, who I'm hoping someday will send it to me and say, "Oh, okay, we're going to release the watch." So, yeah, Dominic, yeah, the cold. You guys in New York got hit with it too. I know. Hi, Tommy, what's up? Let's see. The first is a quartz inside. There's a quartz inside. No, there's not. Not in this watch. Not with a regulator. You delinquent. $87 1 second a day is excellent. You bet it is. Even better is 0. 2 places I confuse. Oh, Memphis and Nashville. All right. I'm the only one that confuses them. Oh, wait a minute. How about Tulsa and Oklahoma City? Oh, this is also known. Yeah, Todd, isn't this what you call an Oklahoma Patek Philippe? Okay, enough harassing. Okie doke. So that's what I've been playing with. What have you guys been doing, watch wise? And I put on my Chronomet Survey. I don't know why I like to wear this watch so much, but I do. It's just a nice watch. And then another thing while I was doing that, I don't know why I do this too. Hi, Mark. How you doing, man? Another watch that I like, I just said, well, I'm going to wind this up. It's a 7-day wind. And so someday or 7-day power reserve. So after it's a wind up watch, it'll it's good for 7 days. And so after, so I'll just put it back in the case, and one of these, between now and 7 days from now, I'll just pull it out and put it on. I don't have to wind it up or anything. Most of my watches are hand wound rather than automatic. So I have two. My Beauvais 1930 is also a 7-dayer. Watching snow and watching snowed in watch shows. Yeah. I built a clock last night. Wow, only shows seconds. Oh, that's interesting. That's like you could use that for an egg timer or something. I'm serious. I have Dominic son had made a really neat case for me. This is what I used. This is sort of I guess you'd call it the case for my resonance. I took two movements together and put them close enough, and they were able to go into resonance with one another. So that was, but then I thought, well, what am I going to do with it? And then what I thought about, I thought, well, but I want to have the back showing because then you can see the resonance with them in the back. But I thought, well, maybe what I can do is to have one with the hours and one with the minutes, or both with minutes or something like that, to just show that they're keeping together. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. The dial part, I think one of these two I've already broken. So I broke something in it. Oh, I know what I did. I think I unscrewed the screw that holds in the stem a little too much, and plunk, a piece drops out of the keyless work. So, so breaking watches is another pastime for a watch collector. Ah, good idea. You're keeping your powder dry, Dominic. The ABP strap. Yeah. Now, got another thing. Here's another piece of tip. I'm trying to think. I don't know when I got this. This is the strap. It's this strap, and it's a company called Panaside, something like that. Anyway, I found it on Amazon, and it's really ironic one, because it comes with those little fast release buttons on the side right here to take off one of the straps. You just push this in and take it off. You don't even to do it. But the funny thing is that the watch came with it has its own spring bar tool, and you really don't need a spring bar for putting the strap on or taking it off. You just use that little quick release tool. But it came with one anyway. One side is the fork, and the other one is the poking side. It also came with which is sort of nice. Hang on, let me get this thing back together again. It also came with an extra loop. I don't know if I have any other watches that came with an extra loop. Maybe my Harboring 2 did. But you can see, I put this in. It's hard to see it. Right here, they just had an extra loop. It's a free loop. So, anyway, that's what I've been up to. Let's see what else you got here. Hey, Big Sal, working from home and wearing my Breitling Pistachio. Ooh, those are pretty watches. B09 manual. Oh, manual movement. Oh, wow, that's even better. 2 subdial registers. One of the best offerings. Yeah, it sounds like a good one to me too, Big Sal. Hey, Goldfinger, how you doing, man? HRM. Do you think resonance can be achieved by mounting two movements? That's I don't know. I guess so. Who was it? V&E Halter. I met him at the Watch Time show, and he came with a his new resonance watch just to the test of. I think at least he had the prototype, and he had these two balance wheels in resonance stacked vertically. So I guess you can. Did you know that Piaget 45 chronograph has a second time zone on it too? I did not know that. I'm not a chronograph fan. There's too much information for me to deal with. I like I like a simple watch. This is a good example of a simple watch. In fact, so's this and so's that. All three of them are hand wound too. I want to buy a Parmigiani Fluier Ionica Hebdomadari handle an 8-day. Whoa, yeah, those are. I don't know. It might. I don't know of an Ionica. That doesn't mean anything. That because I don't know. Ionica used to be the name I think that they had for what they now call a toric, and the toric is sort of one of their top ones. There are some more good watches with that Hebdo Madari. I probably said it wrong. Sort of 8-day movement. I think that's what it means. A weekly winder on that one. That is a nice one, Tommy. What are some other neat watches that you might like to get your mitts on? Anything interesting? Trio. I think it would be interesting to use two ultra thin movements on top of each other, something like two Frederick Piguet caliber 21 movements on top of each other would still be a sub 5 millimeters thick. Yeah, there's got to be a little space between them for them to go into resonance. They've got to be close, but not. They can't. They still have to have a little kind of thing like that. I tell you what's worth doing, HRM, if you haven't done it already, is if you go online, there are a lot of YouTube experiments with resonance. Now, they don't look like watch experiments. They just look like with pure resonance and different kinds of things that people have done. And it just sort of has all of this, what Ryan Smith called witchcraft. And I agree with it. Ionica is the first Siri Culpa. Okay, Tommy.
Which one? Tom Burnett or Tom Heine?
My phone is over here, and Siri heard me and said, "Do you want me to call somebody?" I don't. So if somebody gets a call, be careful.
Which one? Which one? Tom.
I had to get that. Siri says, "Who you want to talk to?" I don't. Sometimes artificial intelligence is more of the former and less of the latter, and I think that's one example of it. Okay, let's go back to serious stuff. David Remus had a good point. Has Larique thought of what you'll do when the watches need service? Is the plan to send them back to Switzerland or to find a local watchmaker? David, here's what we've done with our first one. We have I'd ask Agenor to create I guess what I call a lubrication chart. Now, a lubrication chart is really sort of several pages showing not only the different parts, but the points that need lubrication and the type of lubrication. We haven't gotten to a place where we need parts. In other words, we say, hey, this, one of the wheel train gears went south or something like that. And I don't know yet. We have any repairs now for the, let me say, for the time being, because the REEC is in a very strange situation. I mean, like, too strange. We've asked for new movements. We're working on our third watch now, and it'll be our third movement. The first two were very similar, but the AGH 6801, we thought it was going to be using the same movement in the second watch, but they decided they wanted to put in some improvements, like a Straumann balance wheel. They already had a Straumann hairspring. So we're getting this incredible watch. So they did some other things to it, and it changed the dimensions. And so then we had to change the case dimensions, which led to, there are all kinds of things. So what I'm hoping, though, is that with the lubrication chart, which will show where everything goes, because we do have that for the first one, then we can go on and find some local guy who'll do it. One of the problems, it's sort of like saying nice things about an ETA and Solita movements, is that so many watchmakers know how to deal with those, and they know how to get the parts and everything. The problem we have is that there's one source for everything right now, and that's, at least for the movement, that's Agenor. So that's where we are right now. And there were a couple things that we had to have done, and what we did, Agenor took care of them for us. But we've got to, we were told from day one, they didn't want to be the service provider for anything that went wrong. And that was when they said, look, we do need, at least provide a really detailed lubrication chart. They've been wonderful about that. Probably a lot of scientific papers on the subject as well. Oh, Siri lost the plot. My band teacher used to do that with metronomes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right, Lee. Yeah, that's another thing for resonance. Oh, sorry. It was a wisecrack. Oh, boy. How often should the MSC 111 be serviced? I have no idea what the MSC 111 is. What is that? Found a secondhand one from 2018. What is the MSC 111? By the way, B-Matic, I'm glad you brought something up. Oh, I'm getting some flickers here. I wonder what that's from. It's the ice. When you got ice, it's on the lines, it goes everywhere, and so sometimes you get flickers. We got flickers. Going back to the whole thing about service, how often should you have something serviced? I don't get anything serviced until it needs it. And by needing it, I mean it starts running slow, or in one case, that I had a watch that the stem just came out and wouldn't go back in again. And so it didn't work too well without that. And I sent it in. It was the watch that had been used a lot. So I don't, on service, like on my chronomet resonance, the only place I would take it for service is to FP Journe, because I don't care how good a watchmaker is, working with specialized, either complications or something as complicated as resonance, which actually is not officially considered resonance because it doesn't. I mean, it's not considered a complication because it's working toward constant force or constant release of force, I guess. A buddy of mine bought a Chopard Alpine Eagle HF 8HF last week. The movement runs a whopping what? Wow. Yeah, this is one thing I like Zeniths in general, but I don't like it when they start adding high frequency. The sort of it's sort of like, if we make ours a higher and higher frequency, we're going to get more accuracy. The higher frequencies would be 5 or 6 hertz, okay, that we're talking about. 5 hertz is a lot. 6 hertz is really up there. But you're talking about with a quartz watch, they got 32,000 hertz, and so you're never going to reach that. I think that's why I like the lower hertz. You've got to make it right so it works well with that. By the way, too, I found out if you mess around with 6498s by ETA, they have 2 models. One is 6498-1, the other one's 6498-2. The -1 is 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour. The -2 is 21,600, which is 3 hertz, which I like too. This one happens to be 3 hertz. This one is 18,000 or 2.5 hertz, 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour. So I just, I guess in mechanical watches is that, to me, the most magic is in the fact that you have the unwinding power of a spring. That's it. That's your power. Anyway, so much for that. Okay. Okay. Well, one more time, BMatic. What's the MSC 111? Oh! It's from the Schwartz IT Roma. Oh man, I love that watch. The watch and the movement. If I'm not mistaken, I think, it's got the power reserve model. Now they have, I think the power reserve model, is that the one with 2 barrels? And then the other one has, the one with 2 barrels that are in parallel. And then they have another one with 1 barrel. And maybe that's a power reserve. I don't know. But that's an interesting watch. That's a really interesting movement too. And from what I understand, you can get one of those movements. You just buy the movement. So that might be an interesting group project. Hey, Rancher. How you doing, man? What should you say every time you get a watch back? Thank you for your service. Jeez. Thank you. Okay. Oh, God. I just thank goodness it made it back. Found one second, which I'm interested in. Those are great watches. The other watch I found online is a limited edition Zenith 410, but it's 10 years old, secondhand, if it needs service soon. That's something else too. I was looking, I've got some watches I'm going to sell, and I don't think any of the ones that I'm planning on selling I've ever serviced. There's nothing wrong with them. The problem is I haven't been using them. Other than wind them up every now and then, so to keep the juices flowing. But none of them I've serviced, and if someone asks about service, it doesn't have any. It's never been serviced, but it hasn't been used too much, and that's why I'm selling them. Anyway, that's sort of the view on that. There's an interesting Tonda Moon date for sale on eBay. That's another nice watch, Lee, the Tonda. There was one I found that I didn't know existed, and I don't know why, but it was a Parmigiani Tonda GT. Um, I'm not sure what the GT is for, but it's a nice watch, really nice looking watch. Um, wow. No, David, I haven't seen that one with Dominic Renault. There's I sort of wondered about that. How much can you do with what is the essential design of a mechanical watch? You've got a barrel, you've got a wheel train with, I think, 2 or 3 wheels in the train, final one going to the escape wheel, and then the escape to the pallet fork, and the pallet fork kicking back and forth the balance wheel. Uh, it's like that's not complicated. So how many variations on that? Now, the reason I'm saying that is that maybe it's by Miyota, or maybe it's by Caribou and Lannon. And it's sort of like, well, for a basic movement, what are we going to do? And on a curb regulator like this, I can get it really finely tuned. And so, looking at, my God, that thing is keeping perfect time now. After I regulated what I did, I regulated it to one position, but I looked at all 6. I'm not sure how they regulate something to 6 positions, but I got a feeling they got a machine that does a lot of the work, figures it all out. Because essentially what you'd have to do by hand is, let's say you got it's minus 2 seconds in one position, it's plus 3 seconds at another, it's just right at another, and so you're supposed to take the average of all of those. But what position do you put it in when you finally do the final regulation? To me, I decided it's going to be face down, simply because I can take the back off and take a toothpick and move the regulator stick. If the first owner often changed the day and date while between 8 and 4 a.m., I think it can ruin the movement. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Yeah, there's a certain time you're supposed to do it. Probably another reason I'm not crazy about moon phases. I have more ways to break it. How you doing, Philip? AJ, your thoughts on Frank Mueller watches? That's a good question. I got a feeling there's some Frank Mueller watches that are really great watches. Um, I mean, good in horologically as well as design-wise, but I don't know that much about them. I know some of them have cheap movements in them, others don't, but I don't know which is which. Because, like I said, I don't pay that much attention to them. They seem to be good buys. I'll say that much for them. Hi, Gabriel. Weren't the regulators led by Billy the Kid? No, I think you're thinking of the people who were the regulators were the ones that were fighting with Wyatt Earp's family. There were the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday versus the regulators. Now, I know those things. I've got a grandmother who was born in Tombstone or nearby. No average in Oklahoma weather. Yeah. Yeah, when I lived in San Diego, you could have the most ditzy weather person you wanted. Okay, you could have some ditzy girl or a goofy guy do the weather because it was always the same. What's the weather like? Oh, it's beautiful today. That was it. Connecticut is like I probably say in a lot of places, if you don't like the weather, wait an hour, it'll change, and that's pretty much the way it's been here. Except we do have I mean, winter finally came back. I didn't think we were going to get a winter. It was so mild in December, but now we've had lots of snow. We're supposed to have more snow on Friday, and I tend to blame it on Oklahoma, Lee, because that's where it starts, and then it comes here. And I think you're responsible for sending it here. Hi, reasonable skepticist. What brand do you think has better movement functioning between Parmigiani, Moser, and Chopek? Oh boy, that's a great question, reasonable skeptic. Man, I like them all. I really do. Chopek, I think, uses Chenode, or has somewhat, but they've also done some things to them. Parmigiani has the entire sort of vertical watchmaking organization of the Sandoz Family Foundation, and then they have Michel Parmigiani is doing the design. And then Moser has, not only do they have a Straumann hairspring, which is part of their precision engineering that they put out, but also they have something called the Straumann balance wheel. And I mean, I like all three of those movements. One of the things that Chopek did, I think, is on the most recent movement. They have these little finger bridges for each one of the wheels in the wheel train. I love that. That reminds me of a Langenheim Georg, where they have each one has a little finger. Hey, Gabriel, do you own any Lang and Langa und Sunda? No, I do not. How do I compare them to Paddock? Well, I like them fine. I'll put it that way. The Paddock Philippe, see, the thing is, I don't like silicone hairsprings. And now that since 2009, I think Paddock Philippe has been stuffing those things in their watches. I mean, that's like sort of punting rather than trying to solve the problem, like Rolex did with the Parachrome and H. Moser did with the Straumann hairspring. So, but I really do. There's some older, I mean, and when I say older, I mean before 2009, Patek Philippe's I'd still like to get my mitts on. So I think the diversity, you have better diversity with Patek Philippe pre 2009, but you have beautiful watches with the other. I tell you, German watches, one that is overlooked, and usually because it's so expensive, is the Moritz Grossmann. Those are really nice movements. Years ago, when I first started looking at Moritz Grossmann, I looked at, and they have all of these different movements. I mean, they've made a whole load of different movements. And so, I thought, wow, good for them. I mean, when Christine Hutter comes from a watchmaking family, and she wanted to come out with a really sort of classic German watch. So many of the German watches have Swiss movements in it, most of the more reasonably priced ones. But other than Anlage und Sunda, Moritz Grossmann, Langenheim, I guess Kadoki to some extent, and then of course Marco Lang. They have their own movements, and most of the movements that Lang and Heim have were designed and made by Marco Lang before he left. So you have some really seriously good watches. I think of all of them, though, I don't know. I like them all. Really, I mean, of those that I mentioned, I like them all. I've thought long and hard about getting an all longa, but then I find something I'd rather have. It's not anything against all longa, just other things that I like better. So that's sort of a long-winded opinion. Sorry about that. Hey, Philip, Frederick P. Philip G. Frederick Constant, Slimline. 40 hertz. I don't think much of it. I mean, that sounds more like something that came out of Citizen that they did with them. There were a couple Dutch couple who started Frederick Constant. I don't know how to say it correctly. I don't even know if they're still with them or they make them. They're still in Switzerland. But the thing that they tried to do, they came out with their own movement. This is before they were bought by Citizen. And they did that. And then they made them very reasonable. Some years ago, I was turned off line because they were using plated gold, you know. And I got all bent out of shape about that. There's always something I'll get bent out of shape about. Sort of I don't know. To me, if you're going to have gold. If you're not, there's nothing wrong with steel. I can't tell the difference between steel, white gold, and platinum. This looks like my white gold and steel. Can't tell the difference. This is platinum. Some of my other watches, I didn't like white gold until I got a couple that I really liked it. Hey, lease time, what's up? Joined while doing house chores. You know, that reminds me, I've got house chores to do too. But that can come later when I get chased off. Hi, Miguel. What's up? Madrid. Beautiful city. Love Madrid. I haven't heard much from Chronoswiss recently. Do you have any news? Are their movements good? I know they use ETA modifieds for some basic models. Miguel, from what I heard, didn't some company buy them and they were supposed to come out with all these wonderful watches? I haven't heard anything, probably more than you have, Miguel. PV Gold ain't it. No. I recently bought an Eberhard case in 18 karat gold. I didn't know Eberhard had 18 karat to use as a donor for my project watch. Wow. That sounds like a great watch. I mean, a great case to have. Hey, reasonable skeptic. What do you think about Zeewinkle, especially compared to Zeewinkle? Isn't oh boy, not sure. The Zeitwinkel, is that one of the Allanga? I if it's what I think it is, but it could be some other ones that I know that start with a Z. I just don't remember what they all were. You know, of those three, there's a Parmigiani Fleurier that I saw the other day that I just love. There are several H. Mosers, and Chopek, that is the one with the finger bridges I like. But I don't know that much about Zeitwinkel. It's this kind of, it just sort of not exactly. I don't know why. It reminds me. Is it a chronograph? There was something about it. Is that the one with the big dates? Like I said, I know a lot of people have mentioned it and they like it, but I just haven't paid any attention to it. Longa has it. Okay. Zeitwerk. Yeah, I don't know if about the only chronograph that I would even cross the street to get my mitts on is either the one by H. Moser that has the Aggengraph movement, or the one by Fabergé or Singer. They also have that movement in it too. I got a feeling that Parmigiani may have also end up with one of those movements. Who knows? And what do I know? Nothing. Okay, so it's a piece of art. Okay, cool. Ah, okay. All right, so it has a big date and a chime. Aha. Um, I can't hear the chime. I mentioned to somebody you'd have to have a chime about that sounded like Big Ben before I could hear it. It was bong. I got crummy hearing. I've always had crummy hearing. I didn't realize it until they gave me some hearing aids, and I wondered where all those other sounds came from. And my wife accuses me of intentionally not listening. Anyway, they have a big date. Yeah, it's, I don't know. For dates, I look at my Far Side calendar, and I'm not much of a date. I mean, I have a really nice Urban Jergensen with a date, but every time I wear it, I got to reset the date because it's part of a rotation I have. That's why I've never been interested. I really like the perpetual calendar that's in the Moser. They got a really nice one, and the reason I like it is that they have that little stub and goes through the 12 hours, but it's each one is a month instead of an hour. I just really like the way they set that thing up. And Mike Margolis, when he used to be the American rep for Moser, was showing it to me and how easy it was to reset. Fantastic. Oh, okay. Zywinkle is an independent watch brand. It's separate from. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I got to admit, I just don't know it that well. I don't know about it in any kind of. I know Longa, but thing with Longa, the ones I really like, I can't afford. The ones I sort of like, I can sort of afford. A faux Panerai. So many of them are already faux. I don't know. Panerai. I guess I have, it's sort of like the Panerai 318 fixation. The Brooklyn Bridge came tumbling down. Panerai, I do like the looks of Panerai. I got to admit, they are good looking watches. I've always liked that, but I've never liked the watches. I don't trust them. Even the 6000 that they put in it, the caliber 6000, that was supposed to be all of theirs, is, from what I understand, it wasn't even Val Fleurier, who I guess was supposed to be doing it for him, is sort of iffy on that one too. But if you want to do one, do one. Rex Heppy, any plans on buying? Oh, I have lots of plans on wanting one of those. I met him. We talked in an interview I did with him when the first time when he was just getting started. I don't know how many years ago, but this was one of the early watch time shows in New York. Wonderful guy. His watches, though, they're all little masterpieces. They're just beautiful. I'd love to have one, but Wimpy has also made some interesting watches. Not a well-known brand. Yeah, there was. There was one. Wimpy did one that I saw around a lot. I'm trying to think. Forgot who it was associated with. Somehow I associated him with. Can't think of the movement maker. Girard-Perregaux, and I don't even know if that's right. I think I may have associated with Girard-Perregaux because they had one watch that reminded me of the Girard-Perregaux 1945. But I've seen some in there. They look like very cool watches. Hi, Miguel. I'm interested in the Vacheron Constantin Mate dual time regulate. Do you know the model? Mate, the Malti or Mate, what that is it's one of the few models that of Vacheron Constantin that I haven't paid that much attention to. Um, I'm coming to think that for real, it's one of the more accessible brands for real high horology. Excuse me. um, so is Audemars Piguet, but Audemars Piguet it doesn't have any kind of thing that they're still making that would be an entry level. Whereas I think Vacheron Constantin does even beyond the 50, what's it called, the 56, I think. Well, Breitling's had, I mean, the universe. Breitling was the one who bought, what's that called? Universal Geneve. Is that right? I knew somebody acquired them and they were supposed to do something with them, but to me, Breitling has got enough work on itself to do. I think they have like one, maybe two movements, and they did that in cahoots with Tudor, I think. Yeah, Universal Geneve. Wild card question. Ever owned a digital watch, maybe in the 70s? I have one now, actually. My Fitbit is a digital watch. It's got a little, there's my Fitbit. If I give it a tap. Come on, wake up. There it is. Yeah, it's 11:34. So it's a digital watch. I probably had one in the 70s, but my wife probably, when she finally got rid of all my bell bottoms, I refused to throw away. That could, I think maybe there was a digital watch in one of their pockets. How you doing, Brian? I hope they invest into Universal Geneve and develop a new in-house micromotor. You know, I tell you, HRM, I would agree that would be really great to see. I was very hopeful that Festina, when they bought, what's it called, El Lara or Lara now, that they would really bring it back. They were throwing cheap movements in it. Naturally, the one that I bought had a ETA 7001 in it. So here you have this big, beautiful 40 millimeter solid gold, beautifully designed watch. And then inside of it was an ETA. And of course, they lied about it. They said, well, I thought it was a Frederic Piguet. Well, and so I wish they had gone back. I tell you, that Osmior, I forgot what it was, but I finally got mad at it and made a trade for it. I I don't know. Sometimes you get mad at a watch for something that you feel it's not being true to some aspect of it. Watch collections are very emotional thing. A bunch of, you yeah, I don't know if they're going to invest or not. Hey, Dominic, you saw a watch that had a micro rotor, was above the balance wheel, and the balance wheel was quite large. Oh, wow. Yeah, that does sound interesting. Hey, neighbor, how you doing? We're I don't know if over where you guys are was iced in like we are, but I don't know. What time is it though? Check my watch. Oh, I can check my watch. It's now mostly accurate. Okay. It's supposed to warm. I think as it warms up, the temperature's not going to get much higher. But boy, the sun, it's a real clear day. One of those super cold, clear days with ice. Man, that's a broken bone day for sure. Driving. Oh my goodness. Okay. Pay attention to the road. Okay. So let me ask you guys something. Realistically, and by realistically, I mean something that you could afford, or when I say you can afford, you by hook or by crook, you can afford it. Is sell watches or, you know, one of your kidneys or something, but to get your hands on a watch. What watch do you want right now? Ooh, had a motorcycle crash, made it out alive, and watch was somehow scratch free, feeling blessed. Jesus. Okay. Jeez. Oh, glad you're okay. Man, I tell you, a bike in icy weather, man, I just don't know. I used to ride a bike for years. I had a motorcycle that I used to ride to work, and it was a nice, a very powerful sucker, but that was a long time ago, and I was much younger. FP Journe Elegante. Yeah, Elegante has a lot of really interesting aspects to it. Okay. Those are getting hard to find, Brian, but I'll keep an eye open for you on one. Um, they are more fun. They are wonderful watches. You know, that's an example of a watch where with an ETA in it. It's got the Agenor module that makes it what makes it really something with these two really good size Agenais gears in it. And man, I tell you, used to be able to get really good buys on that. Now they got rare. But I'll tell you, a great watch. You want to, if you don't have any dress watches, and you want a nice dress watch or a nice watch for everyday good office, even executive office. A Chaumet Dandy is a neat watch. It's a beautiful watch. And the thing is, I think it probably has an ETA or God knows what in it. But Chaumet they are really good at watchmaking, excellent watchmakers. So, I mean, when I say watchmakers, I mean case makers, just really beautiful cases. And so you end up with a case and a D movement, but they get a C movement, I would say, because they really get good versions of the of ETAs or anything else they're putting in there. Hey, Big Sal, the VC 222 in steel. Wow, yeah. You're going to, Big Sal, you're going to be mistaken for Brad Pitt. Apparently, I guess, isn't he one of the representatives for was it Breitling, I think? And he was supposed to wear Breitlings all the time. They found he was wearing a Vacheron Constantin 222 in gold. Man, I tell you, my opinion of him just went sky high. He's a guy, it's a watch lover. To pick out a watch like that, love that watch. Only a little bruise, luckily, was only going 20. Man, I tell you, on TV, I see all of these ads by lawyers who are representing motorcycle riders who get hurt. And, some car you're driving along and, you don't see them coming or you don't paying attention and whoomp, bam. And like I said, it was when I was younger. Lease time, Cartier Santos Dumont. I like those watches, lease time. Those are really nice. The Santos, like those a lot. Ronan, you're going to get a Omega Aquaterra. It's another one I like. I like the Aquaterra. I wish they didn't put silicone hairsprings in them, but that's going to be a reality for a while for a lot of watches. In my old age, I ride the same whether I play golf 60 degrees and above. Yeah. Yeah, I was teaching at the University of Florida at the time, and I could ride that thing all year round. The only it was hot and muggy all the time, and I had a rain suit, a big yellow rain suit. I looked like a banana on a motorcycle, and I'd ride that thing, and it would rain. But rain is not unusual there, but it was no matter. It was the middle of winter, and it would be hot and muggy in that rain suit. Trying to think what watch I had then. I don't know. Maybe I did have one of those digital watches. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Oh, that was a real long time ago. I used to wear a sundial. Hi, Miguel. Just purchased a Cartier caliber from 2017 black dial. Those are good. That whole series that were the Cartier caliber are nice watches, are nice calibers too. I don't know for sure. Was that one of the calibers that was designed by Carol Forestier Casapi? It could have been. I don't know, which is really nice. David, let's see. I'm boring. 36 millimeter Rolex gold day date, maybe from for my 50th or my 60th. Well, yeah, that would be a nice one. A 36 millimeter, certain size wrists, they just look just right. About the smallest one I can get away with is a 37 millimeter, and I had a 37 millimeter overseas that I wore to work every day for years. Love that watch, and 37 millimeters worked out fine. Am I Hermes H08 in titanium? That's a cool watch. That was a really good move by Hermes for a guy's watch. If my wife mistakes my Brad Pitt, I may never come out of bed. Oh, 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 Dominic, you get that 222, and you better get a stick to go with it. Hi, Equus. Let's see, Louis. How you doing? A Jaeger-LeCoultre Sun Moon, but I don't know if Chrono 24 is reliable. Yeah, I find Chrono 24 very reliable. I really do. I bought several watches through them, and I sold one through them. I have no problem with that. They saved my bacon on this one thing. This guy was supposed to send me a watch, and he never did. And so I had the money was kept in escrow. And so I told him, hey, this guy's not sending me the watch. I don't care what he says. And they sent me my money back. So, yeah, I have now, of course, having said that, there's going to be, there's some things they do I don't like they add another percentage point to the state sales tax, and they do some things that I think not only shoot some kind of deal in the foot, they sometimes shoot themselves in the foot. But, that's, they're not perfect, but I tell you, I like them. Okay, what else you guys have going here? Yep, coaxial and pure silicon. Yeah, that's sort of like Beauty and the Beast, with the coaxial being the beauty. Yeah, no kidding. Oh wow, a watch with a close-made dial. They're getting fancy, Dominic. Tell you, you talk about beautiful watches, the Clomos, and I don't want to mangle it. Clomose, I'll say something weird. But Besseron Constantin has this series of watches that are like international from explorers, sort of a Vasco da Gama and some of these other Vasco da Gama, and they have a retrograde minute, I think, right in the middle of the watch. It goes up and down, and then they have for sort of this Explorer series, they have the I I think they have in the Americas and they have in India, and they have all of them have that close to me. They're probably way expensive though. I wish Jorn would make more Vagabondage 3. Philip, they probably do. They're just, I tell you that I was looking at something the other day. I was curious about how many watches who made, and I was surprised. I think Parmigiani makes maybe a total of 5,000. Moser is up to 3,000 a year. That's their annual output. FP Journe is around 2 or 3, I think. Trying to think who else has. But then, you got Rolex. They make over 1 million, and they could probably make double that amount and still have people lining up to get them. Who else has a big Patek Philippe? I think they're doing about 70,000 a year now. So you have, I don't know, if you like the ones with Groenfeld. There's another brand. I just love those guys. Groenfeld has wonderful watches that I can't afford, but I like them. You like Chrono 24, but not as a seller. I had good luck selling my watch as I did buying one. So I've had good luck on both ends. The ones that I like for selling but not for buying are auctions. Man, you buy a watch at an auction, you better get a really good deal on it because they're going to slap a 25% premium on top of it. No, Forbin, I got and I still think it's a good buy. I got a Octo Roma. This I got for one of the kids, and I got a really great buy on it, and the band was just a little tight, and so I went to what are they? Jerome. Wait, is it Jerome? Yeah, is it Jerome Rousseau? I think that's it. Anyway, the Rousseau in New York, they make watch bands, and man, I tell you, it turns out that the extremely expensive watch band that because the Octo Roma has an unusual lugging system and all of that, and so they had to have a special made one for that. But otherwise, I think it's a great deal. Now, the Octo Roma Finissimo that thing is a really good watch. It's very thin. If you like a thin watch, I think that was their sort of what they were doing. So if the question is, do I like them? The answer is yes. Have you heard of the movement manufacturer Fleury-Essay? I have not. They recently released their first movement. Looks very promising. It's good to know. This is something with the Larique watch that we have so far, we're waiting for the next one to get finished. You can get such high quality and everything else for, the price you pay is really the work you have to put into it to get it done. You have to get everybody together and do all of this other stuff. But man, I'll tell you, you're getting a watch to the quality for like about between 1/6 and 1/10 of what you'd pay for, and then have to stand in line anyway, has been something I'm surprised that more people haven't done that. There are a lot of good movements out there that people can get a good movement. You can go to the case maker, go to the dial maker, and have them put a watch together for you. And it's to me, having a movement already done, there's a couple things that means. One, sometimes you can find a case maker who has already done some watches like that, and so they'll have all of the dimensions. You don't have to go through that rigmarole, and you can get some really fantastic watches that way, I think. And just get a bunch of guys together. The website we have called Pure Horology is where it was meant to be set up where people could talk about, hey, let's get this and let's get that and let's go out and make our own watch. And I don't know who's done it besides Larique, but I mean that's something people ought to consider. You want a really good watch. You don't have enough money to pay, $50,000-$60,000. What do? Well, you get together some guys and have them make them themselves. Oh, you're getting a Gronfeld chronograph. I'm not sure what the chronograph is, but anything they make, I like. Dominic, that series are about $250,000 each. Oh, they're the ones. Yeah, you know the ones I'm talking about. I may have to go to vintage. I don't, I tell you, those watches are really something. They're just gorgeous. And I usually don't care that much about a pretty watch as I do something interesting horologically it's doing, but those do both. $250,000, that doesn't surprise me. And there's probably a waiting list. What's your idea on the third watch? Oh, the third watch. Yeah, we're that one's going to be super special. We're getting, again, another new movement for that one. We're going to have 2 different kinds of retrogrades on that, plus the regular hour and minute hand. We'll have a retrograde, 30-second retrograde, second hand, and then a Zulu hand for the 24-hour Zulu time. That'll be fun. It's for non-pilots, it's a GMT watch, but a really neat one. So that's another one we've already started. Okay, guys. Well, listen, it's almost noon, so I better get going. Even vampires get more time in this. Anyway, thanks for breaking up your day and yakking away while it's frozen outside. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, there's from Forbin. What are the downsides of a micro rotor versus a standard size rotor in self-winding watches? To me, the biggest downside is that you have to have a smaller balance wheel when you have that. Just not enough room. I love my Van Cleef and Arpels, the dual time. It's got a platinum micro rotor, but boy, it's got a little bitty balance wheel, and it keeps good time. But I just like bigger balance wheels. That's the only downside I know of. There may be some other ones I'm not aware of, but I like that. I got a while back. I got a Vaucher movement with a little balance wheel. I've been thinking about making a watch around it, but I got a couple things that are in the garage, so to speak. Okay. All right, a couple more here. HRM Piaget upstream at the moment. I'm not sure if I know the upstream. Piaget is one of those watches I think that you can find some great buys on. Anyway, guys, got to run. Thanks for dropping by. Take care.